Coming to you from a wrong turn off Route 66. Somewhere in the Sonoran Desert, it's James Out West, featuring Ryan Rooks.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, James Out West, November 5th, 2020. Thursday night football today, baby.
Yep.
You're leaving for the San Francisco Bay.
I am.
That's
I'm going to watch
fantastic.
my Niners win and then be able to drive through the night and get up in the Bay in the morning.
Well, I like your optimism, my friend,
Thank you.
on them winning, considering half the dang teams on the COVID list, even if it was a false positive in which those players still have to stay out.
My Yak team's out.
Your Yak team is out. So, last week,
Yep.
could have been better, could have been worse.
It's a rough week.
It was a rough week. Brownie stunk it up, only scoring 6 points against the Raiders. So, with that, we stink again.
You know,
Got
my
a bye
uncles
week.
love that. You know they do.
Got a bye week this week, so we get to sit out in timeout and think about their failures last week and hopefully come out next week with a victory.
Yep.
Now, this week's Thursday night game is interesting because San Francisco shut down the facility yesterday. They're still going to play the game. Green Bay traveled yesterday.
Yeah.
They're missing their running back room due to COVID reasons. So this is going to be an Aaron Rodgers, the San Francisco defense and Nate Mullins versus the Niners defense. What do you see is going to be the big key factor for the Niners to win this game?
Nate Mullins is playing. I believe that. Look at what Jimmy did last week. He was in for 3 quarters, went what? 11 for 16, 84 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Nick Mullins comes in the fourth quarter, goes 18 for 25, 238, and 2 touchdowns. He's our difference. If our running game, which we're deep, we're hurt, that's what you can do against Green Bay. Look at what
Yeah, you can run
happened.
against them. That's 100% sure.
Like, you look at that last week against Minnesota. Like I was
They
saying,
got gashed.
I was
But that's
telling you,
Dalvin
it's
Cook.
like Boomer, like the whoop. You know, like
But that's
it was all
Dalvin
over
Cook.
him.
That's Dalvin Cook. That's not
You don't-
Jamichael Hastings or Tevin Coleman.
We have a run game. I believe in us. I'm taking us against the spread on this.
Yeah, I know. You said that. We talked about that earlier. But that's as a fan, you should. I'm going to take the Packers in this. I think they win by double digits. And we'll be having this conversation next week.
We'll see. I'll be texting you on.
All right, so Chicago covered last week. Offense looks terrible. New Orleans didn't look that much better. I mean, they had to go to overtime to beat the Chicago Bears. Doesn't say much for either. Tennessee getting beat by Cincinnati. They're -6. I think the spread's even 6.5 at this point. I would still take Tennessee just because I think their defense is going to lock it down. And I don't think Chicago's going to have enough horses in the stables to put up points. Tennessee's going to score probably 24. Chicago will probably score 13.
Like you've been saying, Chicago, they're a mess. Besides their defense, it's a mess.
Their defense is a Super Bowl caliber defense, and their offense maybe can't beat some college teams.
That's the only thing that scares me about is they stop Henry. It's got to be, we got to have other people step up. I still take Tennessee.
Now this game, we talked about this earlier.
Oh, gone back and
Denver
forth.
coming off of an emotional victory against a division rival, the way they did, coming back down from 21 to score a winning touchdown in the last possession of the game. At home, depleted team. Has
Drew
to
Lock come out game.
I don't know about that. But traveling to a hot Atlanta where the offense still has Matt Ryan. They still have Julio Jones. They got called a clown of an organization by Tack McKinley, their linebacker, who thought he was going to be traded. They've obviously fired the coaching staff, the GM.
Which they've looked better.
But it's still at home, -4. I don't know that I trust Drew Lock more than I trust
Matt Ryan.
So I'm going to take Atlanta -4, but I would not be betting this in Vegas.
No. I wanted to pick Atlanta, and I initially picked them, but my gut just tells me Denver. So I'm going with it. I'm going to pick Denver.
All right, so we got some differences of opinion this week.
Some half points kind of
One way or the
screwed
other.
us last week, so I'm going to go with my gut and take it with the points.
All right, so now we got the New York G-Men at the Washington football team.
WFL.
Yes. The Giants gave Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all they could handle last week. I don't know what that speaks to more. I still think growing pains amongst Tampa Bay's offense. It's a new system. I don't care if he's TB12 and he's the all-time great. You still don't know what you don't know, and they're getting to learn those things on the fly and playing pretty good football.
Yeah.
With that said, I'll take Washington at home. Ron Rivera back, -3. Yep. They're going to start. It's not going to be Drew. It's not going to be Dwayne Haskins, and it won't be Alex. I almost said Alex Jones.
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith.
Kyle.
But they're running Kyle Allen out there.
I wouldn't be surprised if something goes wrong, they throw in Haskins. I trust more of Washington defense, and I think they're going to be hyped with Ron Rivera coming back. I take Washington with those points for sure.
I like that. Me too. All right, so now this next game, the Detroit at Minnesota game, it was -10, then it was -7.5, then Matt Stafford was listed on COVID, and they pulled the game, so we don't know the odds. Right. I would say, actually, they had pulled the odds. That 10 was us guessing the 10 and 7.5. That's correct. Since they pulled it, we're not going to bet it. Minnesota's going to win that game.
Hands down. I think Dalvin Cook runs all over these guys. Lions got destroyed. They got to get it together. And if Stafford, the heart of that team, is not going to be in the game, Minnesota's got it for sure.
Now, this game's interesting. Carolina getting CMC back on the road at Kansas City. What's his workload going to look like? Are they going to be able to control the clock to keep Pat Mahomes off the field from doing Patty Mahomes things?
Right. And did you see that underhand this last weekend?
He's incredible. He's incredible. It's all the baseball. They're -10.5.
Yeah.
And they've covered the last 2 weeks in a row with double digits. One of them was 19.5.
Right.
It got to 20.5. They've covered. I think they cover here. Carolina's a good team, not great team. It's in Kansas City. They're rolling. I take the 10.5 in Kansas City.
I think it's going to be a great game. I'm excited to see McCaffrey back. I love that guy. I think he's good. Mahomes looking at 21 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's got the highest QBR, 85%. Or 85.4. He's doing things to put himself back in the MVP. He's doing Patty Mahomes things. I take Kansas City even with that 10.5.
All right, now Baltimore coming off of a tough loss against a division rival, the better team, the team that's probably the favorite right now in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl, minus Kansas City, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Baltimore loses to them. They're at Indy. Indy coming off of that swag win that they had in Detroit, maybe feeling themselves a little bit. It's a 2.5-point underdog for the Colts. Baltimore's 2.5. They're going to win this game. I would take Baltimore outright in that game.
I love Indy's D. I think they look good with Phillip Rivers, but I think this is Baltimore's bounce back game. They need this. Harbaugh's going to get him right. I take Baltimore.
Now, what we talked about possibly could be one of the games of the week.
Yep.
Right up there is this Seattle at Buffalo. Seattle traveling across the country to play in Buffalo. Josh Allen on the decline, it seems. Buffalo, again, a 2.5-point underdog at home against Seattle. I would take Seattle all day. DK Metcalf and the boys. And Russ, the veteran quarterback on the road without the crowd situation in Buffalo. Bills Mafia not being able to be there in full force because there's some player or some fans, but not in full force. I'll take Seattle in that, and I would take it if it was 6. I'd take it if it's 4.5.
It's impressive just to see Seattle right now. I mean, like we talked about, even Jamal Adams coming back. I think they're kind of saving him because they know what run they're going to go on. But with what the weapons they have, I mean, it's unbelievable. And Russ is on that MVP run. I think he's going to end up getting it. He's on pace to score, 52 touchdowns this year. I take Seattle.
All right, moving on. Oh, boy. So the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville's a 6.5-point underdog at home. No Minshew mania. Will Fuller's very upset he did not get traded to Green Bay. I would be upset, too.
Did we find out who's the starter? I have not heard. Because last I heard, it was either going to be, Jake Luton or Will Start? Is that right?
I thought Mike Glennon was getting a look. He's not getting a look?
I don't know. Okay, well.
It doesn't matter. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter. I'm taking Deshaun and the Houston Texans. I would not bet this game. That plus 6.5 scares me. I don't know if Houston shows up on offense or not. I would probably take the under in that game as well. Because I think the under on that is somewhere in like 48 range, and I just don't think Jacksonville. They've done it in the past. Obviously, they put up 30 a couple of times, but no Minshew mania.
We only found out. When did we find out for sure that Minshew was going to be out?
This was only a couple days ago.
Because they're both coming off of buys.
Yep.
So they've both been practicing for this.
Yep.
So I think even more so that's going to play in the hands of Houston. I take Houston.
I agree. All right. Moving on. The Las Vegas Raiders.
Herbert.
At the Chargers of Los Angeles. It's an even point spread, or it was as of last night.
Yep.
We both agree that the Raiders should handle this game. I think the Chargers lost last week in Denver, sitting on them a little hard. He is a young quarterback. He's going to make plays. They're going to score, but that's what the Raiders do as well.
Yeah.
They score. It's going to be in L.A., so it's going to be nice weather. I would take the Raiders in this, even if it was -3.
I'm definitely taking the Raiders. As much as I love Herbert, I think he's a stud. They're just not closing out games. Once they get all their weapons back, especially on defense, Chargers are going to be a good team. The Raiders have their weapons right now. I'm going to trust more so. As long as their lines protect, then yes, I believe in the Raiders right now. On an even, yes.
All right, now the next game. The Miami two-time Dolphins are here in the desert. Big Red Sea. Not as many there as they'd like to be, but the Cardinals coming off a bye, looking good off of 2 back-to-back stellar performances prior to that in a Sunday night game and in a Monday night game against NFC opponents. I think that Tua is going to be a good quarterback. I think a lot of people can say that. It's not jumping on a limb there.
He didn't have to do anything.
Their defense got real right last week against the Rams. I don't think that that's the same thing this week. I think Kyler Murray and his ability to make plays outside the pocket, in the pocket, when he's downfield, not getting hit, making defenses look stupid, is going to continue. It's -4.5. I take that. I think they win by 10. I do think there's a point in the game where Miami's maybe even has a lead, like a 10-7.
I can see Miami coming out, popping off like that.
And then talent will take over. Fourth quarter will happen.
Will settle in.
Yep.
They'll get their run game. Their run game is the Cardinals' run game is looking good. I mean, they have weapons. Their defense is looking good. They're starting to. I mean, Kingsbury's got them on the right path. I love the NFC West.
And with that extra spot,
I think Arizona is on a good path. I take Arizona.
That's fantastic. All right, now this game, oh boy. I'm sure they were looking forward to this afternoon game when they put out the schedule. Pittsburgh at Dallas, Dak, America's team. We know what happened there. Now the Red Rocket, the Red Rifle, he's got the COVID. He's out. There may be starting Beneducci. I heard it might be Cooper Rush.
They're all over the place.
It doesn't matter who's starting. Pittsburgh's defense is for real. Their offense is getting it together. 13.5-point spread is a lot, but I do think Pittsburgh covers this.
Yeah,
which is crazy for me to think about. But Pittsburgh's probably the best team in the AFC, probably the best team in football.
Like I said, I think they're the most complete team right now. They are on it. They look good. They're controlling the game. Unless Dallas runs this 70 friggin' times and throws for maybe 5 to 8 times and controls the clock, they're not even going to come close. Pittsburgh wins this.
All right, now the Sunday night game. New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees on the road in Tampa Bay.
I think this is game of the week.
In the Tampa Bay
game of the week.
Bays.
This looks going to be amazing.
Not sure what the weather is. I always say that with this time of year and where they're at. Tampa Bay can get rain. It could be sunny. Well, not at night, but but it could be windy. There's all kinds of stuff that can happen. It's a -4.5. New Orleans did nothing to sway me that they're a better football team than they were 2 weeks ago against Chicago. I know Chicago's got a good defense, but overall, New Orleans has a defense too. And they could barely stop the Chicago Bears and had to go to overtime to win. So, Tom, upset about last week's game, it being the way that it was. I think he gets the boys right. AB's back. I don't know how big of an impact he's going to have, but the 4.5, I think they cover.
Yeah, I definitely think. I mean, just even thinking about Tom, how much he had to think about where he was going to hit his helmet walking to the bench and then finally sat down and then smacked it. He's pissed off, and I think they're at home. He's going to have AB. They're going to definitely handle this. I think it might be a different situation if it was in New Orleans. But with this 4.5, I'm taking Tampa Bay.
All right. Now moving on to Monday Night Football. Oh, man. You'd hope that Monday night could flex a game out, but they can't, unfortunately. And this is the New England Patriots at the New York Jets. Jets are +7 at home. Bill Belichick
Every Jets player is taking a jet out of that team. That locker room.
Belichick gave like he played, but he put together a game plan and got those boys ready to give Buffalo all they could handle. And it came down to a Cam Newton fumble in the fourth quarter, running on for a first down to lose. The Jets stink.
Yeah. New England stinks.
Not as bad as the Jets.
They're
so I'm going to go.
I'll
take New England. I'll take New England +7. Oh yeah, or -7. And 100% they're well.
Yep. I said last week that if Cam didn't have a game, I was expecting him to get cut because they were going to try and do a trade because they have nobody. Cam didn't do it. I don't expect him to. He maybe get off that vegan diet and get some protein and get bigger, stronger. Like, I don't know what it is. He is not that same Cam, but he's playing the Jets. So I'm taking New England.
I agree. All right, now we decided to come up with a couple of pick threes that we liked. If we were to go place some money in Vegas, I am placing this money on these bets this week. So, Ryan, you had picked Kansas City, Seattle, Pitt.
Yep, for a 3-game.
It's a +611, so you put 100 on it, you're getting 711 back. Not the Slurpee place, but you're getting that money.
It's a solid money. It's a good weekend.
Yeah, it's a good weekend. Baltimore, mine was Baltimore, Pitt, New England. These are all against the spread. That's +582, so you put 100, you get 682. I think these are two solid bets. I would almost even be willing to put Seattle in this one and or Baltimore in that one and get the odds up to have a good 14 parlay.
You going to get into this big one we were talking about?
So we were just kind of plugging in some numbers, just taking a look here. And if you did a 9-team parlay, ladies and gentlemen,
listen
with
to
the
this.
Spreads.
This is very, very interesting.
So New England -7, the Saints +4.5, Cardinals -4, Pitt -13.5, the Raiders +1, the Washington football team -2.5, Houston -6.5, KC at that -10.5 like we spoke of, and Baltimore -2.5. A $100 bet would pay you $413,000 cash money.
Yes.
So $50,000 would pay you $206. So $25 would pay you $103. So a $25 bet, we spend more than that on coffee through the week, could potentially net you
that $100. There's one or two that I might be lingering on, but the same point for $100.
For $100.
Okay.
I mean, so if any of y'all are crazy enough to take that bet, you've heard it, run it back, take it down, go to your bookie, your local online, whoever you got. But we will not take responsibility for your loss. These are your choices. Gamble responsibly.
So one other thing I wanted to bring up, we talked about possibly they're going to expand the playoffs.
Right.
So they already expanded from 12 to 14, right?
Correct.
So now they're talking about going from 14 to 16, right?
Just makes the odds of the Brownies getting in better.
So
I like it.
What this comes with is that means no buys, which I think is a bigger deal.
That is a bigger deal.
Than the home teams or the division winners not getting home field advantage. I think that's something we've all kind of wanted for a while anyways.
And it would be the 1 year that like the Steelers go like 15-1. They're the clear number 1 and they don't get a bye.
Yep.
Now, but on the flip side of that, I was just thinking about this. What if they already had locked up the number 1 seed with 2 weeks to go? There's nothing they can do 2 weeks to go. Would they work in 16 and 17, kind of like bye weeks, and let your guys that are starters get rest because it's not going to make a difference?
It depends on your seeding.
Let's say you're number 1. Let's say the Steelers are number 1 going into that, and they can't fall to number 2.
Okay.
Like they've got a 3-game lead with 2 games to go. It doesn't matter what anybody does.
Why not?
So you could use those as your bye weeks.
Correct.
Quote unquote.
But do you think it's going to be that close?
I mean, I don't know that Kansas City only loses maybe 1 or 2 more games. I mean, I think it'll be a game or 2. So
I think it's going to completely depend on how they're going to do seeding and the way if they're going to go from.
It'll go to 1 to 8.
Like NBA.
Oh, I see. But even
are they going to like how
the division winner not getting? Well, the division winner still will be slated that way. They just won't have home field. So 4 would so 1 would still play 8, 2 would play 7, 3 would play 6, 4 would play 5.
But it's whoever's going to have the better record is going to get home field.
So in the NFC, the 4 seed is playing on the road.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the Eagles winning the NFC least, and they won't have a better record than the 5, 6, 7, or 8. They won't have a better record. Now, I see what you're saying. They could go worst to first. Like, the 8 seed, 7 seed, 6 seed, like that 4 seed might become the 8 seed because we're saying even though you won your division, you're the 8 seed because of overall record. I don't know.
But it's also going to depend on, are we going to have to move games, cancel games?
They've done a good job of not having to do that very often.
We've done good, but we're getting to it. So
that line's coming closer and closer.
So I know we kind of talked a little bit about this. So far, who's your top AFC, top NFC?
AFC Championship game will be the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay. I actually agree with that completely.
I think this is Pittsburgh's year to make it to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to count out Pat Mahomes. I'm not saying this like they're trash. They're not. It could easily be them. But
they've
right
shown
now,
that weakness.
Right now, Pittsburgh is that team for me. In the NFC, Seattle's got the offense.
Yep.
They don't have the defense, but look at the teams they're going to have to beat. New Orleans, they're going to have to put up points. Tampa Bay, they're going to have to put up points. Green Bay, you're still going to have to put up points. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. So to me, Seattle's probably my pick to go to the Super Bowl right now. And if it was Seattle versus Pittsburgh, the rematch, like you said,
I'd love to see that.
I would too, and I would of course want to root against the Steelers. But that'd be a classic game. I couldn't give you an answer on who would win that game, but that would be a classic game. Also, Seattle versus Kansas City would be nothing to slouch at either.
Oh no, I would love to
amazing.
see Seattle, Tampa Bay, see a Pitt, Kansas City battle. I think those are our top four as of right now. Things change, injuries change. I think also Seattle, they're going to get a lot of their defense coming back. I think they're
tighten it
a
up.
complete team. So as of right now, I'd say that's what we got, but it looks good. I think it's going to be interesting.
That's awesome.
Crazy year. On top of still waiting to find out who's going to be our president.
Hey, we'll be having this conversation next week. We'll still be waiting to find out who will be. So I've kind of put all that on the back burner. Nothing's going to change with that, numbers, blah, blah, blah. So I'm watching Yellowstone right now. Me and the kids are going back through Stranger Things. I had the boys watch Ace Ventura. Hope I don't get in trouble here because they're in 5th and 7th grade, but it was amazing and hilarious. And my kid today came out and goes, "What's up, Lahu Zahar?" I was like, "Oh, okay, right on."
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm just doing a lot of that. Obviously, diving deep into the bets, looking at this a little bit from a in-depth perspective with the last 6, what people have done, watching the lines, staying busy. I'm excited for you to go back home, see some family.
Me and the old man taking a road trip. Way long overdue, so it'll be awesome. Get to see the family, get to see my niece and my nephews and my brother and sister and all the fam back there. So, and talk some good stuff to my uncles.
Yeah, no kidding, right? That'll be awesome.
So, by the way, I have my uncle and we made a bet last night. He gave me 14 points. I took the Niners.
He gave you 14 on the Niners?
He gave me 14. Just a $10 bet. But he gave me 14. So then, of course, I find out everybody's out with COVID.
Right.
So,
but
we'll
Vegas
still see.
Vegas still has him at -6.
I'm still taking the bet.
Let me put it this way: if they had San Francisco -14 in Vegas, how many people are taking Green Bay? You know what I mean?
I think it's a good pick. I think our run games is still going to run it. I think we got it. We'll see.
Well, we've done and ended this last few weeks like this. Be positive, be kind. Have some patience. Obviously, we need patience more than ever. You can't always believe what you read, what you hear, what you see, even these days.
Yep.
But you do know when you meet a person who they are.
Yeah.
And just go with your gut. Use the force, Luke. Do the things you need to do to be a good person.
Like when your mom told you to be like, treat people like how you want to be treated. Like those simple things, like open a door for a woman, or anybody.
Yep.
But just be nice. Like, give it that break.
We need it.
I think so.
We need it, brother. All right, so for James out west,
I'm Ryan Rooks.
We are finished up with week number 9 of the NFL season. We'll come back next week, tell you how well we did, how much money we made or lost, and hopefully help you guys understand football a little bit better and how the bets are made.
And make sure to check out Instagram. We got the J.O.W_RR. We got some different postings and behind-the-scenes stuff we got coming up. So
that's fantastic. All right, brother.
One
Peace.
love.